Funny thing, it's been 2 years to the exact weekend since I saw Scott Cooper's last movie, Black Mass, in the theater. I really enjoyed that one, but can his new work live up to the expectations set by his previous ones? Well, I'm John Hayeck, and welcome to my movie thoughts. Hostiles, because I want to say Hostiles and not Hostels, even though I pronounce it Hostels. Hostels is a different movie, so anyway, Hostiles. Hostiles is a new movie starring Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike, and this movie's making its way around the award circuit right now, getting a little Oscar buzz here and there. It premiered at Telluride, it also played at TIFF, and this movie played at a local film festival in my area. Not exactly my area, it was a little bit of ways off, but I wanted to check this one out, so I went up and saw it. And Hostiles takes place in the year 1892, and it's kind of a neo-western. This isn't the typical western that you hear of where, like, oh, there's the sheriff in town who's gonna take care of the outlaw. Like, you know, they go into the saloon, they're spitting everywhere, they're all wearing hats, and they've got their badges on. This is not that type of movie. This is a movie that basically shows you how horrible the West could really be back in the 1890s. It was not the kind of fantasized place that a lot of the 60s westerns made it out to be. It wasn't as exciting or glorious or really as fun as some of those movies that came out in the 50s and 60s really wanted to look like it was. It was actually a pretty unsafe place where people died at any turn. It was a dangerous place that you really would not want to live in. Seth MacFarlane made a movie 1,000 Ways to Die in the West a few years ago. I think that was trying to illustrate the same point, but kind of didn't exactly succeed in telling that point. This movie succeeds in telling its point because this movie is really well done. It's getting some Oscar buzz for just reason. Of course, the movie has its problems, but I'll get to those in a little bit. The main three reasons I think why this movie is getting Oscar buzz is because of its Oscar caliber actors, its Oscar caliber cinematography and direction, and its Oscar caliber take on the genre. Firstly, the actors in this movie. Christian Bale is great in this movie. The premise of the movie is that he needs to basically take some Native Americans and get them from his little ranch in New Mexico up to Montana, and that's kind of where they live. So he needs to do that without having any interference from outside. The only problem is that he really does not like Native Americans, like, as a people. He does not approve of their culture. He doesn't really like them at all, so he kind of has a moral conflict in this whole thing. And Christian Bale, the guy is fantastic. He's like the Robert De Niro of our generation. He has that intensity to him, and he's willing to do anything he can to make himself fit into a role. He got really muscular for this movie. He had a pretty sweet beard too, and he commits all the way. Any movie Christian Bale's in, you're probably going to get a great Bale performance. You get a great Bale performance in this movie. The surprise of the movie, though, for me was Rosamund Pike. She was in Gone Girl a few years ago. I don't think I've seen her in anything since then, but she was great in Gone Girl, and she steals this movie for me. The opening sequence in the movie takes place around her character, and from that opening sequence on, you're like, Rosamund Pike is going to be the best part of this movie, and any scene she was in was the best part of the movie. There were maybe one or two scenes where she was like kind of showing some grief, and that might have come off a little like overacting at points, but I think again she was phenomenal through and through, and again she made the movie better. There were a few like disposable other side characters in the movie that are like fine too, but for the most part those are the two standouts in terms of acting. I think the Oscars will definitely at least, if not nominate those two, at least recognize that they were great performances, and they'll get some votes here and there. The other thing that makes this movie great is the direction, because Scott Cooper really makes this movie feel personal, intense, and also depressing. He gives you the feeling that you were supposed to feel coming out of this movie. You're not supposed to think, that was a really fun Western. He plants the depression seeds in you early on in this thing, and then he lets them grow. He has some very wide shots that make you feel like this entire place is just bare and empty, and he has very gray skies throughout the movie too. There's a lot of thunder and lightning that makes you feel like there's something ominous going on, and there's really just no hope. It's all depression, it's all sadness all the time, and the movie really weighs on you because of that. The other thing that really makes this movie feel like it could be an Oscar bait type of movie is the genre. I already said this is not your typical Western, and Oscars like to recognize movies that aren't typically what their genre is. I like to recognize movies that are a little bit outside the box, and I give this movie credit for doing that, and that again is why I think it could be nominated for an Oscar this year. I think it deserves it if you ask me. Even if it doesn't wind up in my top 10 of the year, I think it has those qualities that will make it a good Oscar vote type of movie. The great acting, the great directing, the great cinematography, the great direction of photography, and of course the great kind of doing something that's outside the box. My problems with the movie are this. One, I think that there could be a little bit more depth put into some of the characters. Obviously, Rosamund Pike has a ton of development to her character, you know what I mean when you see the movie, but a lot of the other, who I call disposable characters, didn't really have much build-up, and when some things might happen to some of these disposable characters, you're like, why should I care that that person died or got injured or is now along the road for this journey instead of this journey or something like that? You really don't have a reason to. It just kind of happens in the movie, and if you got to know their characters a little bit more at the beginning, it would help out a little bit more. Like, I said Christian Bale's character, for instance, who doesn't really like Native Americans that much, they don't really explain why, you just know that he does, and they just kind of roll with it. The other thing is the movie feels very, very long, and I'm fine with that because you do kind of need a slow burn pace, but by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, we could have wrapped this up like 15-20 minutes ago. But other than those two things, guys, I think that Hostiles was a very well done movie. Scott Cooper was a very competent director. I might have liked this even more than Black Mass because, again, acting was great, cinematography and directing were great, and the movie does something different. I'm going to give Hostiles a B+. Be sure to let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Hostiles in the comment section down below. You guys can also go over to Twitter and follow me at John M. Hayeck. Go over to mymoviethoughts.com, subscribe to this YouTube channel for tons more posts from me. Links to all three of those are in the description down below. But also be sure to like this video, comment on it, share it with some friends. I am John Hayeck. As always, thank you guys so much for watching.